Hi, everyone. This is Melanie from North Shore College Consulting, and I am going to be leading the Q&A today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them in. I know that some of you have sent them in earlier, which is great, or if things come up while we are discussing other things, please feel free to add in your questions, and hopefully everything will be answered. If not, by the end of this session, please feel free to email us at info@nscollegeconsulting.net, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with your burning questions. But for now, I will start with what we have. Okay, so I'm going to hop right in and I'm just going to answer some questions. I'm going to read them off for you, then I'm going to answer, and that's how this will run today. Okay, so the first question is, my daughter received a really nice invitation to be part of the Congress of Future Medical Leaders. Should she join? Okay, so there are many programs and societies out there that students are able to join based not on their talents, but on their ability to pay a fee to join. So we call this a pay to play. So on the surface, these programs look very appealing and something that would be attractive to admission officers, but in reality, it's just the opposite. So this particular program is a well-known, like I said, pay to play. So this means that they know who college-bound students are. The high school doesn't share any data with these organizations, but places like the ACT and the College Board do. So they're using kind of information based off of how your child scored in their profile, then they sent information. So I would definitely be weary of these types of programs. If you have any other, this is really for anybody, any other programs you're not quite sure, ask us first and we'll let you know if it's legitimate or not to avoid paying a fee. Okay. How do I know what schools are test optional? Okay, so many schools went test optional, obviously, because of the pandemic, and some schools are keeping their policy again for this next application cycle. Some are in a trial of 3 years, some are in 5 years, some have already gone back to testing. But a really good way to check is to go to the Fair Test website. It's fairtest.org, and they keep a whole list of all of the optional schools. So it's a very comprehensive list. So, but always when you're looking at this list, double check it with the undergraduate admissions page for any updates, because again, things are kind of changing in terms of schools that are now allowing testing or requiring testing. So you want to make sure you're looking for the right application season. More things will be updated as the spring and summer continue, but that's always a really good website that we use to track our data. But definitely, if you are thinking about if a school says optional, we always recommend that students should still sign up for the ACT or SAT, excuse me. It's really important that students are still testing. It can only help you and not hurt you at this point. So if you have a test score that we feel falls into that range of what's typically admitted, we always suggest that students submit scores. If not, and if the school is test optional, then you don't have to submit if you don't want to, but definitely be cross-referencing this Fair Test website with the admissions page. Okay, my daughter's high school made all classes pass-fail due to COVID with no opportunities for grades last year. What does this mean when his transcript is being reviewed? So many high schools during the height of the pandemic decided to try to help out the student by making some classes and grades pass fail. So regardless of COVID or not, an applicant's transcript has always been the center of what colleges look at, and they make a priority to get to know the high school and the curriculum. So they're focusing on the applicant's rigor, even if there are no grades. Also, your daughter's high school will describe the curriculum offered at the school and the circumstances surrounding the graded system implemented by the high school due to the pandemic. So as this past application cycle and the one before it, and probably this one coming up, admission officers are spending their time making sure that they know the high school, that they know the curriculum. They're going to get a school profile that explains the grading system so they can review an applicant's application within the context of their high school. Also, a teacher's letter recommendation could also be super illuminating and helpful for admission officers. So admission officers understand that obviously classes were virtual for part of the year, for the full year. They understand the pass-fail grades, and that even high schools changed some of their grading systems. So they completely understand that, but if a teacher's letter can attest to the fact that the student stayed academically engaged and they stayed curious and prepared throughout the year, this speaks highly of who the student is and the kind of a student that they are that could be a positive addition to campus. Okay, hope this helps. Next question. Our high school does not offer any honors or AP classes for freshmen. Is this going to be a problem when they are compared to other students from schools where they had more opportunities for advanced coursework? So this kind of relates to the other question. So not every high school is going to be the same. So rest assured that because not every high school is the same, each student is not going to be reviewed the same compared to another student. So they're going to be reviewed within the context of their high school. And that's what I mean by that. So not every school offers AP or honors classes for freshmen. That's extremely common. And, college admission officers are aware of this. So when your student applies to college, like I mentioned, they are reviewed within the context of their high school. So this means, again, your child not be compared to students from schools where that student had opportunities for that kind of coursework their freshman year. So to gather the context, admission officers are sent a school report, which is what I mentioned in the previous answered question. And it describes the curriculum offered at the school. So admission officers will make it a priority to learn about the most rigorous courses offered at each grade level. So they'll see what your student is taking freshman year compared to other students at the high school, what they took freshman year. So not what another student from a different high school took that had opportunities for advanced coursework. However, if your child isn't feeling, challenged enough, they should definitely consider taking a full academic load, take an online college course, or maybe one at a local community college for dual credit. They could work with one of their teachers to create an independent study course, or they can even self-study for the AP exams. Students can still take AP exams without being enrolled in the class. So they can also find a mentor in the community that relates to their career interests to further their educational development. So again, if they're not feeling challenged with their current course load, there's other options to add to that, so that way they do feel challenged. Okay. What is the best major for a student that wants to be pre-med? So we actually get asked this question a lot. So pre-med is not a major. So it's a college track with a set of courses that are prerequisite courses for medical school. So these courses do not necessarily need to be part of a student's major. A student can study a completely unrelated major to what you think is classically, a pre-med type of major like chemistry or biology. So they can still take those necessary prerequisite courses as electives, so they're still on the pre-med track, but they can major in the liberal arts if they wanted to. Or of course, they can major in biology, chemistry, or physics, where some of those prereqs might already be met, but there's definitely more options for pre-med students than people think. The most common majors, again, are biology, biochemistry, neuroscience. However, there are many paths to medicine. So there's no required major for medical school. All majors are welcome. There's definitely a misconception that students should major in biology or another science, but they could really major in anything. Okay. Does a letter of recommendation have to be coming from school teachers? Can a letter be from someone else, like a coach? My child is going to ask their teacher soon and wants to know. Okay, so letter recommendations need to come from an academic teacher. Ideally, we want students to ask two teachers, one from the humanities, meaning English, social studies, foreign language, and one from math or science from their junior year. So ideally, we'd have those two academics. However, your coach or your child's coach can write an other recommender. So other recommenders are individuals that the student has worked with outside of school that can provide even more context around the student's hobbies, passions, and other responsibilities. So this cannot replace an academic letter recommender, and not every college will accept an other recommender. However, it's definitely good to talk to your student's coach if they have a really good relationship, so that way they can secure a letter in case they need it, even for an interview, or if they're deferred, or other kind of pieces of the application that they might need it. So it's definitely a good to have in your back pocket to ask for that other recommender. But again, the coach cannot replace a teacher recommendation. Okay. Is it okay if my son doesn't take Spanish his senior year? He says he wants his year to be a little easier, and I know how busy he will be with football season and his college applications. Okay, so we get this question a lot, and to be honest, it kind of depends. So first, a lot of students senior year are extremely busy with schoolwork, activities, plus college applications. Seniors have a lot on their plate, especially first semester. However, it does not mean that a student should take it easy senior year. In fact, it could look really unfavorable to the colleges if a senior all of a sudden loses all their rigor, takes an easy senior year, and doesn't really care about their grades. So keep in mind that if you decide not to take Spanish, a lot of your child's competition will keep up with their rigor and their coursework. So it's kind of important for them to do the same. However, if they decide that they don't want to take Spanish, they're really against it, or they've gotten to 4 years of it and they're just done, that is okay, even though it's ideal for students to take the core academics throughout high school, meaning English, math, science, social studies, and foreign language. But if they decide not to take Spanish, they need to fill that class with something that is substantial. So this is going to be an elective that is possibly related to their career in business, or they want to go into the sciences, so take an extra science class, for example. Something that is related to a major, to a career, or another passion is going to be where you're going to want to fill in that spot. So if you don't take Spanish, keep in mind that you need to fill that with something productive and something useful. We don't want colleges to think that you're taking the easy way out. Okay. My daughter has more than 10 activities. How does she decide what to include on her Common App? Okay, so for those who do not know, the Common App allows you to list up to 10 activities. For some students, that works. For others, they have a lot more that they do outside of school, which is great. So our best advice is your daughter should think about the activities that are the most important to her and ones that she has done consistently throughout high school and those that she's most passionate about. She should list the activities on her application in order of importance. So activities listed earlier will be better remembered by admissions committees. So your child should lead with the most impactful and meaningful ones. And also by capturing admissions committee's positive attention early on, they will review the rest of her activities list more favorably, right? So if they're seeing like, okay, she's really involved in this activity and that's the first activity listed and it shows passion and it's impactful, they're gonna look at the rest of the list super favorably. So to also narrow it down, she could try grouping similar activities together to kind of develop a theme. And then from there, she can pick out what she feels are the most impactful to her from those themes. So, colleges also like to see that students are in activities that relate to each other and that are consistent. So grouping them might also help to kind of gather a theme to her activities list. It's a tough one though. I hope that helps. Okay, next one is my son had a tough time in his pre-calculus class. Can he take AP stats instead of calculus? Okay, we also get this question a lot. It kind of depends but we will say AP Stats is considered to be a slightly easier AP by most people's standards, but it's still an AP class. So obviously it's going to be challenging. If he's not majoring in a STEM field or applying to the most competitive and selective colleges in the country, he probably will not be faulted for taking AP Stats instead of AP Calc. However, if he does have really selective colleges on his list, colleges do seem to prefer AP Calc. They really want students to get to that calculus level. However, don't also assume that he's going to struggle in calculus because he didn't love pre-calc. So the classes are different. I would have him talk to his pre-calc teacher to get their opinion on whether he'd even be able to handle calculus next year. Your teacher will really have a better idea, his teacher, a better idea of the difficulty level of the math class at his high school, and also how he would do in the class. Since the teacher knows him as a math student, definitely ask the teacher if you're undecided. Okay, which GPA will a college see? Weighted or unweighted? Okay, so on the common application, a student can report their weighted or their unweighted GPA. We always suggest that a student self-reports their highest GPA, which is usually their weighted GPA. However, if a student's high school transcript shows both their weighted and unweighted GPA, the colleges will see that if they require an unofficial transcript. So regardless, a college will, in most terms, always take into consideration the GPA that looks the most favorable for the student. Remember, they want to admit the student. They don't want to deny the student. They want to admit the student. So they're going to be looking at the GPA that is the most favorable. Okay, let's see. Oh, looks like we are out of questions right now. Yep. Okay. I hope that this helped answer some of your questions. If you have any others that come up, please don't be shy to post in the Facebook group or email us at info@nscollegeconsulting.net, and we will get to your questions as soon as possible. We will be doing another Q&A too, so that way even more questions can get answered. We hope that you found this useful, and we will talk to you soon.